Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today's Learn Kartra live session on email marketing. My name is Amanda, and I'm from the Kartra onboarding team, and I'm going to be hosting today while Alex is out. I also have Shannon here with me, who's going to be helping out in the chat when we get to questions later on. For those of you who are new to Learn Kartra Live, we host these sessions every other week and rotate the feature topic we cover. Next session is going to be on creating courses, and Shannon will be sharing a link to our booking calendar in the chat if you're interested in registering for future events. As always, we'll be sending a post-event email with today's session recording, a copy of the presentation, and any resource articles we can help to guide you. So even if you can't make future sessions, you can consider registering just to get those post-event learning resources. Today, I'll be starting with a short presentation for some overview insight into emailing with Kartra, and then we'll get into a live demo to see those aspects on the platform. If you guys have any questions along the way, do feel free to pop them into the chat, and we'll get to them during the demo time and after the demo. Awesome. So let's get to it. Let me pop the screen share on. Awesome. All right. So, as all of you may know, Kartra is an all-in-one platform with a wide variety of features that you can utilize to market and run your business, including email marketing. So, Kartra does come with a built-in mailing system that we call Kartra Mail. So, you do not need to connect any external gateway send your emails. This also controls sender details when your emails and notifications are sent. So as part of account setup, it's good to go ahead and update that with your business email address to help keep your emails on brand. A business email address is usually those associated with a domain that you own. So they're not going to be free emails like Gmail, Yahoo, or Hotmail. And a common question that I hear is how or where do I get a business email address? So if you own a domain like those for a page URL, you can see if that the domain platform also offers an email inbox service to obtain an email address from them, or you can purchase a business email from email service providers like Google Workspace, which is kind of like their paid version of Gmail. When you're utilizing your own email address with Kartra, we do recommend that you set up email domain authentication. Since last year, email service providers like Google and Yahoo have gotten a little more strict with their email filters. So setting up authentication can help with your deliverability, your email reputation, and ultimately helping your emails avoid landing in the spam and junk folders. Some users might feel like this step is a little technical, but we have a great guide to help point you in the right direction and a training video that you can easily follow along. So aside from emails, you can also craft SMS messages in Kartra. However, you will need to integrate SMS gateway, a third-party SMS gateway to send those texts. At this time, we integrate with Twilio, Plivo, and Vantage. I know a lot of people tend to ask like which one's the best or who you might recommend. And we tend to see from user insights that many prefer to use Twilio. So you can consider them. When it comes to sending SMS, Kartra does not have any limitations, so you can technically schedule as many SMS broadcasts you like. However, you will want to check with the SMS gateway you plan on using to see what type of message send limits they might have on their side. And take that as something you take into consideration when you're choosing the SMS gateway you want to use. Okay, so You can send one-off broadcasts for emails and SMS. They're great for things like newsletters to your mailing list or email blasts to your customers. When we get into the demo later, I'll show you how to set your recipient conditions for who the email is going to be sending to, as well as maybe automations based on the interaction with the emails, like if people are opening or clicking. So there's a lot of variety that you can really do with those emails. The email builder is drag and drop, so it's fairly easy to use. We have tons of email templates to help with the design. You could even save your own templates for use later. And the builder offers features like AI that helps generate text copies to help you kind of brainstorm those first drafts. You can include dynamic variables to help personalize those emails with populated details. So you can, include a contact's first name to kind of welcome them in that email content. And you can even split test your emails to see which version of it might be more captivating to your audience. Kartra's built-in AI feature is available in our email builder as well as our page builder. And generally, you can use that to generate copy content or text content for the whole email or individual text components while you're working in there. A cool feature with Kartra AI is that you get these AI business settings that you can customize. And you can include those in your prompt when you're generating copy, so you don't waste those character limits on explaining what your business and your offerings and your audience and all that stuff is. Aside from sending one-off emails, you can build sequences for automated email flows. These are great for lead nurturing, cart abandonment follow-up, sales promotions, welcome or onboarding emails. With sequences, you can create the series of emails you're looking to send. You'll set the timing of when those steps are executed, and then subscribe your contacts to the sequence so they can kind of flow through that whole journey you put together for them. Sequence can be automated with a starting rule to subscribe contacts after they complete a specific trigger. For example, this one has a form opt-in as its starting rule. So after they complete the form, they'll get subscribed to this sequence. Then they'll move along through the steps accordingly to how the flow's connected. So after they're sent the first email, they'll move to the next email, wait there until it's time to be sent. And then you can really build out your sequence with different types of steps, even split the path based on true-false conditions. So you do have a bit of variety to create as simple or complex of sequences that you might need. All right, so that is a general overview of emails in Kartra. Again, we'll be sharing this presentation in your post-event email. All of these blue buttons are clickable and linked to resources from our knowledge base to kind of help guide you with those aspects. If you ever need assistance, don't ever hesitate to reach out to our technical support team. They have the ability to access your account and help you check on things. If there's something you're working on within your account that's kind of weird or something, reach out to them and they're totally there to help you. We also have live chat available at specific hours for quick inquiries if you're looking for more immediate assistance also. If you haven't had a chance to join the community yet, we have our Facebook group for that. It's a great place to connect with other Kartra users, experts, a perfect forum to get insights and suggestions on topics like external platforms, marketing strategies, and content creation. All right, so that is it for our presentation. How are we doing in the chat, Shannon? Any kind of questions? Good, awesome, cool, nice. All right, so let's move on to the demonstration. So I can show you where all of this lives in the platform. Let me switch over my screen share. Beautiful. All right, so here's the Kartra dashboard, and let's first go over those account setup aspects with Kartra Mail and DKIM. You'll find those under settings. Kartra Mail is going to be located under integrations, and you can come over here and edit it to update it with your sender details, like your sender name, your send from email, your reply email. People will kind of update this with their business or their company sometimes. Company names, just kind of keep things on brand. This way, when people receive emails, they're going to be sent from your email address. And then if you get any replies to emails you send from Kartra, those can be sent to the inbox of the email address you have in this field. So with this in mind, you're not going to be receiving any emails in Kartra. Those are all going to be going straight to you at your email inbox with your email provider. So go ahead and update that. It's important to note that Kartra Mail does dictate the sender details that are used when your account email notifications are sent. So we're going to pop over here, make a little visit. Here are your system automated emails that are sent based on specific actions that can occur. There's different emails that can be sent to your contacts, to your affiliates, to your team, you and your team members. So for example, if I filter these contact notifications to transactional notifications, I will find our order confirmation to buyer. So this is essentially kind of like the purchase receipt with a copy of the invoice that is sent to all the customers after they purchase their products. So as you can see, this notification can only be sent using one sender detail. So I'm not going to be able to edit that, and that's being pulled from my Kartra Mail. You do have the ability to edit the email template. So maybe if you want to add your branding, like your logo, your contact information or something like that, you can. You want to keep your the copy general though, because this email is going to be the same template that goes out for all of your purchases. So as part of account setup, let's exit without saving. It's good to, take some time, pop over here, review what's available. You can enable, disable things that you don't want to be set, edit those templates to add your branding in there. And with team notifications, you do have the ability to set rules. So for example, if you're looking to send a specific notification to a particular team member, you have the ability to do that stuff too. Okay, so that was just a little bit about email notifications. And after you get your Kartra Mail updated, you can go and set up your authentication for any email domains you're looking to send from by heading over to the domains area and going to the DKIM tab. All right, so to set this up, you will need to configure some settings on the platform where your email is hosted to get that connected to your Kartra account. And once you get a nice green check mark in here, we're authenticated for that email domain and you're good to go. So if you want to send from different email domains, you will just need to connect each of those in this area, and you can connect as many as you want. We already have one connected here, and if I wanted to connect another one, I'll go ahead and just click that button at the top. I'm going to input the domain. So let's say I have a website that's amanda.com. So I'm going to put that in here and then add the DKIM record. Now it's going to instruct me to go over to the domain, the platform where the email domain is hosted, to input these CNAMEs in there. And once I get all of that done, I can check this. We'll finish, and then it's going to take some time for this to validate. Usually takes about 48 hours, and then you'll either be connected or fail. If it fails, that means there might be some settings that you inputted improperly, and you can always reach out to the support team for any advice on how, you should go about doing it. Sometimes some specific email providers will want you to put those CNAMEs in a particular way. So we could always help with that after. All right, so Now that account setup is done, there are going to be two main areas to be aware about when it comes to emailing. And the first one we'll talk about is contacts. This is going to be like your CRM area. You can collect contacts using our forms feature or any other assets where people are going to be giving you their email address, like surveys, product checkouts, event registrations. All of those will create contacts. And all your contacts are going to be living in the all contacts area. So these are going to be where all your contact profiles are found. And each of these profiles are going to be associated with an email address. You can click these contacts to open their profile, which is going to track all their interactions with other Kartra assets. And you can ultimately review this to see their whole customer journey. So you can see like what lists they're subscribed to, what emails they might have been sent, sequences they're subscribed to, purchases they've ordered, as well as like a time-stamped log, so you can kind of see that entire journey. You also have the option to import contacts as a way to bring them into the system. So if you've collected contacts throughout your business time or with other platforms, you could export them, compile them into a CSV file. And in the import area, you can start an import to upload the file, and you'll go through the steps to match data fields, maybe set automations to be applied to everybody in this import, and complete a questionnaire for verification purposes to submit that import request. Once that's reviewed and approved, you'll have contact profiles created for everyone, and then you can go ahead and send them emails and whatnot. When you're browsing your contacts area, you can quickly see details about your contacts, like their source of where this profile was created. So, Shannon came in through an opt-in form, and I also have quite a few other contacts that were added through an import. You can also filter your contacts based on tons of different conditions because we're tracking all of that information in their profiles. And you can also select specific contacts if you want to, say, bulk manage them, and you'll have some extra options to do those things over here. So there are two ways of organizing your contacts in Kartra. The first one is a list. These are like your mailing list. Your contacts can unsubscribe from them. And this list area is going to be basically your list management, where you can see all your lists. You can create a new one or edit the names of ones you already have. It's always best practice to segment contacts into lists so they can unsubscribe from specific communications. For example, instead of completely blocking you from emailing just because they don't have anything to unsubscribe from. When you create a list, you'll set the internal name. I'll just name it Amanda. And you'll also get to set the public description. It's important to note that the public description is what your contacts are going to see on their unsubscribe page. So kind of take note in what you actually put in this field. Make sure it's relevant, appropriate for your contacts to determine what communication each mailing list is intended for. So if they want to unsubscribe, they actually know what they're unsubscribing for. In this area, you can also click the number of active contacts, and that's gonna bring you over to the contacts area with those specific people populated. So these are all people that are, subscribed to that general subscribers consultant list. Now, the other organization option you have is tags. Tags are going to be like labels that you can apply to profiles. They're just for you on the back end. Your contacts don't see them, and users tend to use them to describe their customers. For example, maybe noting customer interest, tracking where the customer came from, or identifying like a buying behavior. A lot of people tend to ask what's the difference between list and tags? Like, when should I be using one or the other? And a general rule of thumb is lists are going to be your broad mailing list that contacts can unsubscribe from, and tags are going to be your specific identifiers that you can kind of use as conditions throughout the system. Now, the other area you'll be working in, and the most important one, is going to be marketing. Oh, before I actually get into that, Shannon, did we have a lot of questions or anything? No?
Just one just came through. Can you use more than one tag? Yes.
Yeah, you can create as many tags as you want, and then for whatever reason you might need them for, if you create a lot of tags, you can create categories to help organize them so things don't get messy. But you can, yeah, create as many tags as you like and apply as many tags as you need to profile. Similarly with the mailing list, you know, you can create as many mailing lists as you like, and then have those applied to as much as you like to. Awesome. So it was just that one. We're good. Cool. All right. Awesome. All right. Okay. So let's get into the good stuff. And that's going to be the marketing area, where you will be building your emails and your sequences. So let's get into emails and SMS first. So here you can create one-off emails or SMS. It's great for maybe like a newsletter sent to a specific mailing list, or an email blast sent to leads, or maybe like a general update sent to all of your customers. When you create a new communication, you can choose to craft an email or an SMS. Remember, you'll need to integrate an SMS gateway for the option to enable. We don't have one, so we can't do that right now. But when you're creating an email, you do have a wide variety of full email template designs to start from, or you can start with like a plain text email, just text. And then you can also choose from your own templates if you save those. So I'll show you how to save that when we get into the builder later. But we have tons of, you know, full email templates here for different design that you can choose from. We'll just go ahead and choose this one here. Let's go ahead and give that an internal name, and we're going to create. Now we are going to go through the email setup. The first tab, message, is where we're going to be customizing the email. For any of those of you that were interested in doing split tests, Kartra lets you create up to 6 different versions, and you can just kind of add new versions in here. We can create up to, 4 different versions. And then you can set the ratio or percentage of how you want those sent, and you can just kind of go through them and edit each message accordingly. So maybe if you wanted to test different subject titles to see which might entice more opens, or explore the different ways that you offer call to action to see which route might get more clicks. You can use these split tests to kind of see, create those different versions of emails and see how those do. Later on, you can review the analytics to see which version, how each version performed, and all of that good stuff. But in most cases, you're going to be sending one email. So let me delete all of those. And we're going to just send this as a single email. You can easily preview how that email is going to look from out here. You could even check how it's going to look on mobile to get an insight. And then to edit the message, we're just going to click this button and get into the builder. So here is our drag and drop builder. We have our fields for subject title, preview text. You can add an attachment if you like, and you can find the dynamic variables kind of quick view when you open this. There will be some default fields in here, and you can add additional dynamic variables to the quick start based off of fields that are found in the profile. So like the contact fields, or also any custom fields that you've created. All right, and then basically you can, just add these dynamic variables or short codes into the email body. So if I want to just kind of replace that in there, now that's going to help populate the details when that email is sent, like the first name or any other information pulled from their contact profile. If I decide that I don't like this template anymore, I can completely replace that template and it's replace the whole thing, and it's going to let me choose from a different template from the library. So it's pulling up those same ones we saw in the beginning, as well as any templates that I saved myself. I can also, remove things that I don't like. So let's say I don't like this one picture section. I'm going to take that out, and then later on bring in from the side menu over here whatever sections or content that I want to add into the canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and click this to image and just drop it in there to bring it into the canvas. And then simply kind of click the items to edit them accordingly. When you're in the builder, you can save individual sections as favorites. So you can later on, easily access that and pull in things that are already branded or already, customized to your colors and needs. So you can quick create things. And you can also save everything that's currently in the canvas as a full email template. So when we view the email library or the template library, you can choose from the My Templates area. We also have AI available in the email builder. Using the option from the side menu will apply generated text to all of the text components in the canvas, or you can apply AI to specific text components if you want to just generate in that one box. Oh, and then also, when we're using the AI, you can use that toggle to include your AI business settings. And if you haven't set those up yet, you can click that. It'll open another tab to your settings area in your account, and you'll be able to input that information to those settings. So you could include it when you're using the AI.
I think Nissan had a version in Africa, like Patrol or something like, how I have it in you. I think that the wrong button.
No worries. All right. Let's see, where are we? So we just talked about AI. Yeah, and that's kind of just the gist of working in the page build. I'm sorry, the email builder. And then so after you're done customizing the email, you can send yourself a test email if you want to see how the email design looks when it's received live. But do note that these test emails will not send with your sender details or email address, and the dynamic variables aren't going to be populated. But you can rest assured that all of those details are going to be included when the email is actually sent live to your contacts. Lastly, we have the actions button where we can save progress. Maybe I'm working in this. I need to step away to go handle something. I want to save my progress, but leave this open. I'll save it. You can save and exit the builder, or maybe I did stuff and I don't want it to be saved. I can exit without saving. And then we have that, save the full email template option in here. So I'll go ahead and save and exit. And now the next tab we have is from to. This is where we're going to be setting our sender details, so the email address we are sending from, and the recipient conditions, which is the contacts we're sending this email to. With Kartra Mail selected, these sender details is going to be pre-populated with whatever I had set up in the integration. But for every single email that you create, you can go ahead and change this and use different sender details. So maybe I wanted to send this from, my Amanda domain. And I'm going to have to make sure both of these match. And then I can save. And since I didn't get my DKIM connected yet, I will see this warning sign to letting me know that if I use this email, I'm not authenticated, the deliverability might be a little low. But if I go back and put my GD demos in here, which is the domain we already had authenticated. Oops. That warning will go away. So that's just kind of, let you know. I think it was with an S. That everything is authenticated and you're getting that good deliverability. So you can set the different sender details for every single email that you create. Just make sure you do the DKIM to get those authenticated. And then the next area, you're going to be setting your recipient conditions. Whenever you're creating a new email, it's just going to be defaulted to send only to me. But here you can really set whatever condition you want. And the system is going to, make sure that those it's going to include any contact that meets those conditions. So maybe I want to send this email to those that are subscribed to a specific list. And I also have the option to stack conditions with an and or an or. And is going to act like all of the conditions act together. So the contact must meet all the conditions together in order to be sent the email. Or is going to be if the contacts meet either of the conditions. So I could be those subscribed to a list and have a specific tag. Or I can do a condition where maybe it's people subscribe to this list or those subscribe to another list, which is going to include everybody in both lists. On the bottom, if we add some people here that are actually subscribed to something. All right. Under here, we have some quick glance stats of who the email will end up sending to. So depending on which contacts the system populates based on the conditions that you set here, some might be blocked for various reasons. And that's just the system showing you that it's being email regulation compliant, making sure it's not including emails that have addresses that have bounced before, or those that don't want to be sent like commercial emails that didn't agree to like GDPR or something like that. So that's just some insight for you there, and you see that how many people are going to be included when this email is sent. Now you do have the option to set automations based on interactions with this specific email, like if they have not opened, if they have or have not opened the email, or if they have clicked or have not clicked on specific links. So you can do things like maybe subscribe them to a sequence if they don't open the email after X amount of hours. Or you can do things like grant them membership access or subscribe them to a calendar if they click a specific link in the email to kind of help automate or, do extra things based off of interactions with that particular email communication. And each email is going to have its own analytics area that you can check later after you get this sent live, which will also be the area where you'll be able to see like the those split test results, and you'll be able to see like opens and clicks and all of those things for this particular email. Finally, you can send the email immediately. You can schedule it to be sent at a later date and time. The time here is going to be based off of your Kartra account time zone, so make sure you take that into consideration. And then lastly, maybe if you aren't ready and you don't know when this is going to be sent, you can just save this as a draft. So if you schedule the email to send later, when the email does send, the system checks all of your contacts at the time of the send for anyone who might meet the condition to make sure no one's missed. So maybe if you create this email like a month ahead and someone new comes in a day before the email goes out, if they end up meeting all those recipient conditions, they'll get included when this actually gets sent out. All right. Shannon, do we have questions on, okay.
Yes, we do. So one of the first ones, I have the first name variable in the email, but it does not put a name into an email. How do I fix that? Yep.
Okay, I have the first name variable in the email, but it does not put the name into the email. How do I fix that? And then this was from Melinda.
Melinda, yep.
Okay. So you're putting the actual dynamic variable into the email body when you're creating it. However, when it's sent live to your contacts, it's not actually populating anything.
Correct. So I have it hooked up to the an appointment thing in events, so people can click on the link, make an appointment with me, and then they get the confirmation email for their appointment, and it just says dear first name. It never puts in their actual name, and they do put it into the,
and it's in the profile contact, like it's there, it should be pulling it and stuff like that. Ooh, the only thing I could kind of think about that is just making sure it's the right dynamic variable. I'm hoping when you're copying it, yeah, sometimes people try to type it in and they'll use like a bracket instead of the curly brackets or something like that. So just making sure, and then, or like there's a space instead of a underscore. So just making sure the short code is actually correct. So copying it from the dynamic variable, I can show you really quick. Copying it from that little quick drop is going to be the best place to grab it. So, oh, actually, I was already in there, but let's get in there really quick. And then, you know, if you go into your email and then you try again, so the dynamic variables quick view is going to be here. And then your first name is going to be this code specifically. There's a little thing here, you can click it to copy the actual text itself. But the code, and I'm going to make sure to make this a little bigger so you can see it. It should be curly brackets. Sometimes people will put like the square ones. Don't make sure there's no spaces. Make sure this is like an underscore. But copying it using this function should copy it straight from here and make sure it's added to the body. If you try again, make sure the email sent live. And it still doesn't work, I would advise you to reach out to the support desk, the help desk. So you can go to support, go to our knowledge base, open a ticket, and then open a ticket with our technical team. Give them the name of the email address. I'm sorry, the name of the email that was sent that didn't populate correctly. And then they can, you know, clone it, take a look, see if something's weird or something's off, and let you know what's up with that.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
You're welcome. Let me make that smaller. Okay. Okay, next question was Vicky.
Vicky again, yep.
Okay. When you mention the business settings, are you referring to the name of your company, etc., and that the email will automatically include that? Yes, I think we're talking about the AI earlier. When you're in the email builder and you can generate with AI, you can include your AI business settings. So let me click this, share this tab, and switch it over. So now it brought me basically over to settings, account settings, and that's where you'll find AI business settings. Here you can input like your company name. Oh, this one's actually imported. It's brought in from your profile settings, but your company name will be populated here. You can select like a general industry that your business is, and you then provide information like products or services that you offer, who your audience is, how you would describe your business and stuff. So it'll take, when you're using the AI in here and you're using the settings, it's gonna, and you toggle this on, it's gonna include that information from those business settings. You don't need to type all of that stuff in here. It's gonna try its best to like kind of include that in whatever copy or text it generates out. So hopefully that helped answer your question. All right. Next question was from Lucy. What do you suggest to do with people who have not opened any email for a certain period? Well, so if someone hasn't really been opening your emails for a while, then they might not be really interested. Maybe they're a little busy or something like that. You know, it is good to clean your mailing list every so often. You know, set yourself maybe like a monthly schedule or something like that, and go through your contacts. Let me go.
But can I ask if
Uh-huh.
if somebody if they're not interested, they would unsubscribe. So some like reactivate after a certain
After a
like,
while,
but
yeah.
if you would send them an email saying this is my last email or whatever, or please
Yes.
unsubscribe, then you get a huge unsubscribe thing, which
Mm-hmm.
will probably influence the deliverability. Or is it then better that I unsubscribe them, or do I tell them to unsubscribe if they're no longer interested to clean up?
Shannon,
Yeah.
did you have a
Yeah,
insight?
so what I was going to say is, I think, you know, one of the things, if you want to go back to that section and show the level of engagement filter, I think something you can do is, you know, level of engagement is, you know, if someone hasn't opened an email within, maybe your standard is 120 days, whatever that is for you, then you can add them to maybe a, you know, do not contact list where you aren't reaching out, but they're still in the system. That's one option. Another option is, I also saw that you said if they said do not contact me 2 years ago, but now they want to buy the product. Well, it depends on what filter that was. If they're buying a product, they might be joining a different list. So if they just unsubscribe from one list, then it won't affect them now contacting or trying to purchase a product from you again. If they reported your email as spam, that goes into a different kind of category. If that happens, then you do have to let them know to reach out to our support team and have them undo that.
Yeah, I know that one, but this person still has the red bullet which says do not contact me. So now I'm not sure if she's reaching the emails that are being sent out with the product.
So we can do a investigation from the support side and see like what is happening and give you the next best steps. I say that's always, you know, each case is unique. So I could sit here and go into 10 different, you know, possible options for it. But if you get over, we can get a ticket created after this with the name of that person and their email. Our team can take a look at their lead profile for you. So, and that goes with anything, like Amanda said earlier with the calendar thing. Like if there is something that's not happening how you think it should be, it is best to get an investigation, you know, started in a sense, because that is what our team is there for. So, and then I also included a list cleaning guide that our education manager created in the chat. So I would check that out, and I think it's just kind of best practice there. But yeah. So.
Yeah, that article goes over what I'm showing on the screen right now in the contacts area. You do have that advanced filter for level of engagement. It's all the way at the end, but it's there, and you can do things like kind of see like who has opened email, who hasn't, in like X amount of days to just kind of see who they are and stuff. So you got that there.
Yeah, so I've and I know that, so I know there's like a certain number that hasn't opened in, let's say, more than 100 days. But the question was, is it better that I then delete them, or do I send them a last email and please unsubscribe or something? Because if they do it again, then it may cause deliverability problems if I suddenly have like a couple of hundred people unsubscribe.
Yeah. I think I can't advise too much on full deliverability because deliverability has a lot of things that go into it. But if you reach out to the email team, I feel like they'll be able to advise on that kind of topic a little bit more detail. Yeah. All right. Oh, and that was the other question you had, the do not contact me, and stuff like that. How do I move that indication? Okay. Well, in the end too, also is like if someone ever marks you as like do not contact me, if they ever say interact with another one of your Kartra assets, like purchase, like fills in a form and or like purchases a product and stuff, that would be technically opting in again, and then you would be able to contact them too. So it kind of
Yeah,
just
but the
it
thing
could
isn't-
change, yeah.
it's
It
not removed.
changes, yeah, not removed.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So that's all the questions we have for now. Oh, one more.
Martin just asked something about a new account is created. The preferred time zone is UTC, US and Canada, not Dublin, London. My settings are London. Help.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. So I've got my settings, as I say, are London in the time zone. When I get people that are joining from within the UK, I'm seeing that their IP address is the UK, but the time zone that is showing, it still defaults to US and Canada. So,
You're talking. I know what you're referring to. This, right? Preferred time zone.
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm finding I'm having to adjust it manually, but I thought it would be automatic. I thought it would default to my time zone for people in England, and then default to the time zone for people in different country time zones.
Based off of whatever they put in here. Okay. So that is first off, definitely understand where you're coming from. A lot of people think that, but that's not exactly how this field works. So the preferred time zone field here, and you're correct. When you get a new contact, it will default to the US Eastern time. It's not going to default to your account time zone, and it's not going to default to whatever country or maybe IP they're coming from. This field itself is directly associated with calendar registrations, and with calendar bookings, they have the option to select the time zone that they want to do their booking from. So what this setting technically does is, when a calendar confirmation reminder email is sent, it's going to reflect the appointment or the event booking time accordingly to their preferred time zone. And it's really the only thing that it controls, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of misleading because it's smart enough to pick up the IP address location, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. From the
yeah.
But then the preferred time zone, I totally understand where you're coming from with that, and that's great feedback. You know, it's something that we can definitely share with our development team and stuff like that, and see, you know, because we don't want to be confusing people, right? Then we have to have these clarifications. But it's definitely
just for confirmation, the preferred time zone links to the calendar booking only.
Just associated with the calendar bookings.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And one option, if you are using a form to bring them in, and that's what's collecting the IP address, is you could always add maybe a time zone setting or time zone option, like where they're at, directly in that form field collection, if you do want that to be something that you're actually collecting that way instead of having to update that each time.
Shannon, could you message me how to do that?
Yeah, of course.
That would be absolutely smashing. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that was all the questions. We have just a little bit of time. So let's go over the last bit, which was sequences. So now that we know how to create one email, let's head over to marketing sequences to see how to craft automated email flows. We have quite a few sequences here, but when we create a new sequence, we can go ahead and input the internal name, and the sequence is also going to have a public description. So similarly to the list, your contacts can unsubscribe from your sequences. So whatever you put in here is going to be seen on that unsubscribe page. So let's just call this, I want to call it customer follow-up. Okay. And then we'll create that. We launch the builder. Builder canvas. So in the builder, we can set starting rules for the sequence, and these are going to act like a trigger to subscribe the contact to the sequence. So for example, you can do like something after an opt-in form or a product order, or maybe after getting a specific tag. If you when you're creating each of these rules, they will act independently from each other. So for example, if you set up like opt-in form and product order, if someone does either one of those, they will then get subscribed to the sequence. If you want to create a more complex starting rule where they need to meet multiple conditions together, you can create a automation and use that to stack conditions. So, you know, if they, you know, have the lists and, you know, they have the tag or something. And we're just going to set this to opt-in form for now. And we'll select from one of our opt-in forms and save that. And so now we have a starting rule set, and I can set more of those if I'd like also. All right. Now from the side menu, you can essentially drag in whatever steps you want to create into the canvas. We're going to start with an email step. Drop that guy in there. And we're going to get to choose from that same template library that we started out with. And then, you know, your templates that you saved also. So same email builder. I'm going to go ahead and select this guy. This is going to be our first email. And then create that. All right. And now we're going to go ahead. You can, you know, now the step is here. We can move it around if we want. And we can go and edit it. Now we're going to basically edit this email setup step to configure all the configuration settings and customize the message. So there's a few different settings you can go through, and you basically just set how you want this email step to be executed. You have the option to delay the step. So when someone arrives to it, you can have it execute immediately. So right after the previous step, or wait a number of days and hours, or execute this on a specific date. So if you use any of the actual delay options, when someone comes to the step, they'll wait for that, and then the step will be executed. We're going to go ahead and set this one for right now, because that's going to be our first email. The next option you have is date and time. This is optional if you want to say restrict the email to be sent on specific days or specific time frames. So maybe if I wanted to only send this on the weekend, I'll just toggle those off and I can set a specific time frame. But in most cases, you're gonna, you know, have these all selected so there's no restrictions on when this can be sent. All right, the next item, communication, that was that internal name. I named it as first email, just in case you ever need to come back and edit that, change it for your own reference. That's done here. And this is also going to be the name that shows up when you're looking later at your analytics and throughout the platform and stuff. So you can identify what this specific email is. You can then set the sender details for this specific email, similar to, you know, how I mentioned earlier, any email you create, you can set the sender details for that specific one to whatever domain emails you want to use. Next, we have recipients. Now, this one is can be utilized if you ever wanted to restrict this email to send to only specific people. In most cases, it's going to be anybody reaching the step. You know, your sequence starting rule is already dictating who's going to be coming into the sequence flow. So that should already, you know, determine these are the right people. But if you ever want to restrict an email step, you can set conditions. So for example, maybe this is part of like cart abandonment sequence. And I don't want it to send out to people who have already purchased the product. So I can set this recipient condition to those that have not purchased that specific product. So if someone gets this step, the system sees that they purchased it, it's not going to send it to them. And they'll just kind of just go through the step like it didn't exist. Oops, I closed it out. And then we have automation. So that's kind of that's exact same thing as when we're creating individual emails. You can set automations for how to trigger off of how the contact interacts with this specific email. And then lastly, you'll have the ability to edit that message. It's going to pull up that same email builder with all of the same email customization options that you've had. And so that's pretty much it with, you know, building and configuring that single email step. Once that's all done, you can activate it. We can activate it. So now it's not grayed out anymore. It's lit up. And then we can connect it. So from this starting box, I am going to click and draw a line to my first step. And now I have my first email step connected. You can, you know, drag additional steps to continue building out the flow you want. You could add email steps. You can, you know, drag in actions. You can do like a check automation. You could also split paths that are true false. So if I drag that in there, you know, I can split the path off of a base specific condition. So maybe if they like have a tag or not. And then that's going to give me, you know, a split path into the flow itself. So that I could then, you know, maybe send different emails to different people. And so basically with all of this, when someone triggers the starting rule, there's going to be subscribed to the sequence, and then they're going to flow through the connection lines, moving through the steps to be executed as you've configured all of them. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's email marketing 101 demo completed. Shannon, any other questions that we have come up? Okay.
Yes, I got a few for you. Starting with Lucy asked, and she just rejoined, it would be helpful to see the validation trigger for the true false statement without needing to click. Maybe that's feedback, or is that a question, Lucy? Just wanted to check with you if you want to hop on.
That might be feedback.
It was hanging, but it was hanging, so I had to rejoin. Yeah, so in the overview, when I see the sequence and you see the true false, and sometimes you don't remember anymore, like what was the split, and then I have to go in. So it would be, the question is if it's possible to add in the text, like what the condition is.
So you mean like just looking at it in the builder itself?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's like, so kind of like how this one says, like it at least tells me what the name is of the email. If you can kind of see, like, this is, did they have a tag? And to have a little text right
exactly.
there.
I've seen other sequence builders in other programs, and there's way more information. So at first glance, I can immediately see what the sequence is, what is the condition for the split, and here I have to like click every time.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually making a Google Doc to make like how my sequence is built up. But it would be very helpful if there would be or that there's like text boxes that I can add?
To note things so you can be
Yeah.
able to see it out. So seeing it out here. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Shannon got it noted on there. Beautiful. Yeah, we'll be more than happy to pass that. That's a good
Thanks.
feedback. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Let's see. Okay. And then Vicky had asked, can you just verify for me if I have 3 different domains, can I use Kartra for all of them? Can I send different emails depending on the email domain? Yes, you can. Yes, you can, Vicky. Oh, Shannon answered you in the chat. So yes, you can. You can, if you have different email domains, you can utilize them when you're creating your emails in Kartra, and set them to different emails. Just make sure you, let me get out of this guy and go to settings, domains, and DKIM. Make sure you get email sender authentication connected for each of the domains you're looking to use in this area. And once you get that set up, we're all verified and good, you're good to go. All right, and then next question is
it has to do with now custom domains and pages. So maybe just like what the difference is and how custom domains is more
oh, it's for
related to
about
a certain
custom
level.
domains, not the email
Well,
domains.
no, the first one was email, and then the second part is kind of referring a little to custom domains, and having a form on a page. Where's that going to? How are you going to filter them into those different, I guess, business domains?
Oh, okay. Oh, it was the next question.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So yeah. So that carries over to forms, mailing lists, etc. Can I set things up so that form 1 will collect data for domain A and form 2 collects data for domain B, and therefore be able to create a list for domain A and another list for domain B. Okay. So that's about page URLs. So you can connect domains for page URLs in Kartra. How many you connect is going to depend on your subscription plan, but that can be done under the domains domain area, and you can get the page URL domains connected in here. The setup is going to be similar like the email one. There's settings you need to do on your domain platform, and then you get that connected. Once that's connected, you can then apply that to your page URLs, and basically any URLs that Kartra is going to provide. So your pages have them, your memberships have a URL, you get default pages for your checkouts and your calendars and stuff. You can apply it to that. And basically, if I go to the pages area, find the specific page for, form A, and then you can edit the link, edit the page URL, and then set it to whichever custom domain you have. Generally, we provide you with like a default Kartra URL that's associated with your username, but whatever domains you connect in the domain area will come up in this dropdown, and you can just select them. So your pages for that one domain, just set them to that. The pages for the other one, set them to that. And then when you're creating your emails, use the associated email domain when you're sending your follow-ups and stuff.
I'm
So
going
you
to
can
do something that I've never done before.
I'm sorry, what was that? Not sure who's talking.
I was going to also let you know, I think, Vicky, you asked that question. I did confirm you have the growth account, so you will be able to connect up to 3 custom domains for your pages. So you can add, those custom domain URLs like Amanda was just showing. And then you also have the ability to, authenticate however many email domains as well.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. Kind of made a little overtime, but still good. Did we have any other questions? Okay.
One more, Chris said that was in the sequences area. Chris, do you want to elaborate a little bit on that question?
Hi, thanks, Amanda and Shannon. I was just wondering, when you started this out, I missed where you popped over. You went into marketing sequences, right? Okay. All right, that's it.
Marketing sequences.
Thank you.
Yep. And that's where you can create all your sequences that guy was working on earlier. Awesome. Okay, any other questions in the chat? All right, bye, Lucy. No, I think that was it. Awesome, great stuff. Great stuff, great stuff. We made it great on time. You're very welcome, Lisa, Martin. You guys are very welcome. It was my pleasure. Hopefully this was insightful. Shannon, do you want to close us out?
Yeah, so guys, like I just said in the chat, you guys are the real MVPs for showing up. Yes, I will send the time zone instructions. I have that noted. You know, you guys are here trying to build your confidence in Kartra, and that is huge. And just know that we're always here to support you. I know our next session is actually going to be in 2 weeks, and it is on pages? Courses. So setting up and building memberships. But at any point, if you have questions before that next event, our email is onboarding@kartra.com. I'm going to go ahead and write that down in the chat as well. Lean on us and join these events, and we will help get you to where you need to be. So that's about all I got. Oh, yes, we do have recordings from the past. I'll make sure to include that in our follow-up to you as well. Yeah, Amanda, do you actually want to send the link to the past recordings? Maybe I can grab it too real quick in the support center. I think I got it. One sec.
Okay.
Just grab it to send here as well, so you have access to it immediately.
Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. The next one is building pages. You're right,
Okay.
Shannon.
Okay. So the next one is pages, and then here is the link to our on-demand videos. The Kartra Basics is the replay from the last session. So the email marketing one was the one we did back in February, but you learned everything that we went over that time today. So you can choose which ones to review. I'm going to send that link in the chat as well. And then, yeah, onboarding@kartra.com. Click on that link to look at some of our video resources. The Kartra Basics are all the past recordings as well. So awesome. Is that?
Right. Yep, yeah, that's all.
Okay,
all right.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Yeah. Happy
We'll see
Tuesday.
you next time.
Yeah. Bye, guys.